2011 to 2017 Dodge Grand Caravan, how to change your front brakes. So quick overview. This is your brake rotor, caliper bracket, pads, inner and outer. And then you have your flex line. And so we are going to be changing the pads and the rotors. And so this is a quick tutorial on how to do that. Very easy. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab a 13 millimeter and we're going to take out the caliper bolts. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Sometimes when you're taking out that bolt, the slider pin might want to slide on you. As you see right there, it's spinning. All you do is you grab a pliers and you hold on to it with the pliers. It doesn't take much pressure. And then you take out your bolt. Just like that. Once the bolt is out, you could flip the caliper upwards. Some people like to take out the top bolt. I usually just take out the bottom and flip it out, and then it'll slide right out of the slider pin. So here we're going to flip the caliper upwards. And then we're going to slide it out. Just like that. And now one rule of thumb is that you never want to hang your caliper because it puts stress on the flex line. And so instead what you could do is you could use a meat hook and hook it up to the spring and then hook the other end to the caliper and it'll hang like that. You could also put your caliper around and rest it on the outer tie rod end. But in this case, it looked a little sharp there. So I decided to just rest it on top of the rotor or on top of the backing plate rather. Now we're going to take out the pads. Very easy. They simply just slide out. As you see, these are brand new brakes. This video is just for demonstration. Next, we're going to take off the caliper bracket. Very easy. We're going to grab a 21 millimeter socket and a 1/2 inch drive ratchet. Or if you have a 1/2 inch drive gun, you could go ahead and use that as well. Impact gun. So just take those out. And your bracket is removed. From there, we could go ahead and just grab the brake rotor, just make sure that the caliper doesn't slide off or fall or anything like that, and just pull the rotor straight off. Now for installation, obviously reverse of how we took it apart. At this time, you want to make sure that your surfaces are clean, make sure there's no rust buildup or anything like that. Once that's all good, you could just slide your rotor back on. Then we're going to go ahead and put back on the bracket. But before we do that, we want to make sure that the slider pins are free and greased up if need be. We want to make sure that you change your the shims as well. I did not show this part because they were brand new, so it slipped my mind. But this is the time where you clean all of that up and lubricate what you got to lubricate and yeah, just to make sure that everything goes back in nice and smooth. So to put the bracket back on, simply put it in its position and you want to hand thread the two 21 mil bolts. I usually like to get them in a couple turns just to make sure that they are in straight and it's not going to cause any cross threading or anything of that sort. And then you could take your 1/2 inch drive ratchet with the 21 mil socket, or in my case, I'm using my impact wrench, and we just tighten those down. Make sure not to over tighten them so you don't strip the threads. And as you see here, I go back in with my ratchet and hand check it just to make sure it's nice and snug, nice and tight. Next, we're going to put back in our brake pads. Very easy. While they're out, you want to lubricate the surfaces that go against the shims. Not everybody does this. Some people put them in dry. Some people put a little bit of lubricant. Really, it's up to you. I usually put a little bit of lubricant, but because these were brand new and they were already done, I just put them back in as they were. They simply just slide back into place, and you want to make sure that they have back and forth movement, but not up and down movement. As you see right here, up and down movement is bad because it will make noise as you drive, and it's just going to annoy you, right? So just make sure that's all good. Next, we are going to slide back our piston in our brake caliper. And to do this, you could get this tool on Amazon. It's about 50 bucks. And you just put it into position. It's very easy to use. You just pump and it will push the piston back. In this case, the caliper was seized, and so I did have to go back and change the caliper, but very easy to do, right? You just push it back and the piston will move all the way back. And once it jams, then you're good. Now we're going to put back in the caliper. Again, you want to make sure that your sliders are lubricated and they're not seized up and filled with rust or anything like that. And it's very easy to put on. But before we put it on, we got to make sure that the flex line is in its proper position. You want to make sure that it's straight and it's not curved or kinked or anything like that, because that will just create restrictions within the braking system. So what I like to do is I like to, for lack of a better term, dead hang the caliper just for a quick second, just so I know that the flex line is in its natural position. And once I verify that, we could go ahead and slide the caliper into the bracket, flip it back down, as you see, and then we put our bolt back in. Right, once again, hand thread it first just to make sure it's straight. Once you can verify that it's straight, you could go ahead and use your 13 millimeter socket with your ratchet. If you're using a wrench, that's fine too. Snug it down, not too tight. You don't want to over tighten or strip the threads. And once that is on, that is how you perform your brakes. Everything is good. And obviously the other side is going to be the same procedure as this side. Just make sure that all your bolts are tight, everything's clean and lubricated, and you're good to go. Brand new brakes. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.